Do you have more questions than answers? We don't have all the solutions, but we do have a community of people just like you. We are the curious, the seekers, the concerned, those into data, and those that are dreamers. And the closer we get, the better we learn. About ourselves, each other, and about our planet. Now is the time to get closer. Join us. Get your free ticket to the Learning Planet Festival. festival.learning-planet.org.
So welcome to those of you that are joining in. We're just taking a couple of minutes before the session itself kicks off for you just to explore the amazing youth that make up the Learning Planet community, notably in the Youth Council and the individual fellows that have been joining on into the community in the past months. David, if you just share the screen as well so that people can have a look at some of these wonderful faces too.
Can you see it?
Yep, that's all good. Thank you. Okay, well, I think we can get started. So firstly, welcome to all of you that are joining us here today for this session presenting the vision for youth empowerment of the Learning Planet International Youth Council. And today we're really glad to be joined by some of the incredible council members working together collaboratively on health and sustainability. For those of you that have just been arriving in, we've been sharing in the chat as well a link towards the Learning Planet website page where you can discover a bit more about the stories of the incredible youth that make up the community. But you'll also be able to explore this a bit more as well on the website itself. You'll see some of the videos of the young people in the community sharing their stories of youth empowerment. My name is Ed Stevenett, and I am an education officer and facilitator with the Learning Planet Initiative. And now for the past 2 years, really, we have been actively since its inception, thinking of how we can actively collaborate and engage with inspirational young people already working on the ground or wanting to work and make impact in their local communities worldwide. And so as an initiative, bringing together now many hundred organizations, we started to explore and create last May the Youth Empowerment Circle alongside Catalyst 2030, Children and All Policies 2030, also on the French side, Ashoka France, as well as Ville de Paris. And we started off these conversations really with 4 sessions, welcoming 30 extraordinary youth from around the world to share what they expect from decision makers, from enterprises, from organizations on the ground to really support and foster youth empowerment. And the outcome from this, you'll be able to see the summaries of these sessions and what was shared on the Learning Planet Youth Empowerment project page that will be added into the chat. But what really emerged from us was a focus on this question of how can we help youth to meaningfully impact the decisions that affect their future. And so it became really clear that as a network, this is something crucial for us to be able to support. And so we set up alongside the co-leads of the Youth Empowerment Circle, a call for an international applications rather for an international youth council in September of last year. And truly were blown away by the quality of these applications from over 30 countries around the world, over 100 youth with incredible stories and convictions and already experience of really making impact and supporting fellow youth towards empowerment. After a very painful process, bringing it down to a shortlist of 30, we then had an even more painful process to bring us down to a final group of 18 extraordinary Youth Council members. And some of them presented in our one of our opening sessions, rather, on Saturday in conversation with Mathieu Ricard. You'll be able to check out the recording of that session as well on the Learning Planet YouTube page. And that was a session really focused on groups working and collaborating in the council around youth education and youth rights. And so today we're really delighted to be able to welcome Almaz and Soham, representing the health working group of the council, with as well Rosa in support joining us from Greece. And then from the sustainability side, we are delighted to welcome, working on the sustainability working group, Karen, as well as Binti too, with several others as well from the group in support as well. And they'll be sharing a bit more about what they've been working on over the past 3 months together and their vision really for youth empowerment in these areas. We'll then have a bit of a chance to respond to some questions in the chat. So don't hesitate to add any questions that you may have either in the Q&A box or in the chat box, and we'll make sure to answer them as well. But what we'll be really delighted to as well is give some space to hear from the council as well towards the end about other sessions that they've been a part of, some truly amazing initiatives around youth empowerment and sustainability at the festival this week. So we'll be really glad to share some more information about that with you all. But firstly, it would be a pleasure to welcome Soham and Almaz to the floor to share a bit more about what they've been working on alongside Rosa around youth health and youth empowerment. So Almaz and Soham, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ed. Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning. I'm Sanbanani from South Africa. My name is Almaz Madali. I'm a 15-year-old climate activist and debater, and I'm excited and honored to share the Youth Council's vision for a healthier future for children. I'm representing the Health Working Group alongside Soham, who I will now pass the mic over to virtually for him to introduce himself.
Thank you, Almaz. Greetings to everyone across all the different time zones. I'm Sohampal from India, and I'm associated with Diksha, an NGO in West Bengal, India. Diksha works with the marginalized youth and believes in protection through participation, and also believes that the youth should have the autonomy of questioning the societal rules that have been followed for decades. Diksha also provides the youth with an open and safe space for them to voice their aspirations, dreams, and views on different issues and make informed decisions. Now, in today's world, most of the decisions are influenced by the adults, which is from the perspective of experience and insights, and the perspective of youth, that is that of aspirations, imaginations, and dreams, are often ignored. But something concrete in this world of changing times can come up only when we consider both the perspectives. And that was one of my reasons for joining the Youth Council under the Youth Empowerment Circle. Over to Almaz.
Thank you. Over these past 2 years, young people have experienced the worst global health crisis in their lifetimes. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's how to mess with someone's mental health. Let's say you have a global pandemic and a state of emergency is declared in your country. The government institutes a hard lockdown. Your parents lose their jobs in an already bad job market. All you have is virtual platforms to attend school, and then an unsustainable carbon-polluting energy provider starts rolling blackout. Sorry about that. At this point, all we can do is hope the water isn't cut because of a drought. Now that's a recipe to drive anyone crazy, not to mention social unrest, when vast majority of the population is living in shacks in abject poverty. You can stop imagining now because this is the reality that most young kids are still experiencing around the world. I can say with confidence that we, the Youth Council, are cognizant of these inequalities in our communities and the impact it has on our health. And we won't repeat the same mistakes that the leaders of today are making. There are a few key takeaways from the pandemic that we would like to highlight and use in the health agenda of the Youth Council. Our first takeaway is that health is extremely intersectional. For example, the pandemic showed us how a disease can affect domestic violence by locking people down, sometimes with their attackers, and how a virus could cause companies to stop work and force people out of jobs and into economic recession. This showed us that health is connected to many social and economic issues. The second lesson is that there's a massive inequality within the health system. Vaccine hoarding, limited ICU beds, vaccine passports, these dilemmas all sparked a larger debate on how inclusive our health system really is. Our third key takeaway was that even though a pandemic wreaked havoc, our food system is responsible for the two biggest threats to children's health: climate change and disease caused by malnutrition, like diabetes and heart disease. The fourth and most important lesson was that mental health is as important as physical health. Remote work burnout was arguably more harmful to children's health than the pandemic, and shone light on how we still have much to understand and fix in the mental health system. As the pandemic becomes an endemic, we stand at a crossroads. Taking the lessons we learned from the pandemic, the health group of the Youth Council want to take the path to a healthier, inclusive post-pandemic world. Last year, I had a wonderful opportunity to advise a mental health study called Cities Rise. Whilst working on the advisory board, I had the privilege of researching adolescent mental health in South Africa, which is a microcosm of what's happening globally. The sad reality was that majority teens are not mentally healthy and are ashamed to ask for help because of the stigma attached to mental disease. The Cities Rise study revealed that many youth are educated about mental health coping mechanisms, but this seldomly helps them because no matter what a mentally ill person knows, what they feel just takes over. The health working group started to think about how mental health could improve if our communities rallied around the youth to help those who could not help themselves. The Youth Council wants to provide accessible mental health information for people no matter their background by empowering ordinary young members of our community to take care of their own generation, especially in developing nations where psychiatrists and mental health resources are in short supply. The goal of the Youth Council Health Group is to bridge the gap between the knowledge we have that can transform lives, the knowledge of effective treatments, and how we actually use that knowledge in the everyday world. When we speak about health, it's always fraught with complexity. If we speak to young people, it shouldn't be about chronic illness. It should be about disease with long-lasting effects. In general, people cannot fathom these scientific terms, and in turn, the information becomes inaccessible to the very people it's meant for, the youth. I will now hand over to Soham to shed some light on what's happening in India.
Thank you. As mentioned by Almaz, the COVID-19 pandemic has restricted the youth to a virtual platform, which is already worsening the existing poor mental health situation, and the health working group could not overlook this, as health refers to the well-being of an individual physically, mentally, and socially. Having said about the pandemic, we cannot deny or overlook the social inequalities which are playing a major role in the worsening mental health of the situation. And this represents a cross-section of both middle class, upper middle class, privileged people like me, as well as the marginalized youth of Diksha. The academic pressures, the comparison between siblings and of batchmates, the gender discrimination, social stigma against the different labeled individuals, and assigning of gender to roles being a few of the many such inequalities. Speaking of gender, individuals who do not identify themselves to the biological genders of female or male of the society has been facing severe discrimination in all sectors in every step. But their efforts to overcome the raging eyes of the society has been rarely appreciated, and that undermines their confidence by a great deal. In this junction, I would like to underline one thing. We would be doing a great mistake if we identify the youth as a homogeneous body. We cannot help but overlook, I mean to say, we cannot overlook the differences in mindsets with the changing ages. In the age group of up to 15, there is this observation that they are not able to communicate more freely, and with their movements being more restricted because the vaccines of 15 plus people were made available just a few days back. In the next group of up to 18, there is this anxiety coming into play about the higher studies and how to appear for the entrance examinations without proper preparation. Taking this a notch up to the age group of 21, comes this severe anxiety about future jobs, career, and not having enough exposure to the workplace, not to mention the lack of experience, which may be a hindrance to their jobs. Above 21 comes the fear of not being able to earn enough to sustain themselves, with the economy going really downhill nowadays and other adult responsibilities. Pandemic has widened the social inequalities between the rich and the poor even more, making it really difficult for the underprivileged youth to continue their studies, and some of them are getting married off against their will or are made to look for jobs to support the financial crisis in this pandemic. Now, let me focus on another factor, which is the inequalities in the mental health system. Inequalities in the mental health system are mostly due to the financial status of the youth, and they cannot seek therapies even if they want. Also, there is this biasness coming from the side of the professionals in choosing their clients based on the economic conditions as well as the social status of their clients. Over to Almas.
Thank you. The Youth Council are planning to launch a podcast with accessible information on mental health. The podcast will feature youth's mental health stories for other youths to learn from. We hope that this will give children a voice that can be shared with policymakers, because with more lived experiences and input come more inclusive multilateral policies. Even though scientific proof is important to many people like you and me, communities that value proof and lived experience and stories are underrepresented, especially in the global health and policy space. For example, traditional healers often get a bad rap, but when you listen to the lived experience of people who did not have money for medication in a pharmacy and instead look to traditional healers for raw herbal medication, we can see the different side of the story where the patient was cured and the traditional healer uplifted their community. If we don't listen to the grassroots community's lived experience, we will never know of the benefits of bringing traditional healers into mainstream health, because there is a space for them to contribute. A one-size-fits-all strategy will never end the mental health pandemic. So we want the podcast information to be multifaceted and geared to different communities, whether it may be gender-based violence defense for vulnerable women, eating disorder coping mechanisms for growing teens, anxiety management tips for working adults. We believe that mental health for all can only be achieved by involving all. But the main goal of our podcast will be to provide understandable, interesting, accessible information to marginalized communities in their own language, to empower them to improve their own community's mental health. Mainstream media shapes national narratives. So we hope that with your help, by the end of our term as youth counselors, a mental health conversation can begin globally on the media. Because we've learned through the pandemic that mental health is just as important as physical health, and we all need to work together to stop the mental health pandemic, like we did COVID. The podcast is one of our many ideas for a healthier future. If time and funds allow, we would like to also tackle our unsustainable food system. So these are our goals, hopes, and ideas for a healthier future for youth. But we can't achieve it alone. I welcome your thoughts and input on our presentation and look forward to working together with everyone here today to change our global health system for the better. Our lives are not only measured in years, but by good mental health, physical and social health, because an unhealthy mind cannot lead. We, the Youth Council, want to work to afford all people quality life, and this starts with small system changes that affect people from childhood. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ahmed and Sohan. Yeah, round of applause as well. I'm sure people are clapping as well, wherever they may be. It's a wonderful picture that you're painting and that you've been able to discuss together over these past few months. And thank you as well to Rosa, who I know has joined us too and is supporting as well from Greece. What we're really trying to do as much as possible with the Youth Council is really consider and iterate and learn about how we can meaningfully bring the young people in the community into the decisions and the direction of this community. And I think that's something that is really an iterative process. So we're constantly learning and improving and working on this and co-creating this with the first edition of the Youth Council. But we're really confident that this will continue and gain strength, go from strength to strength. And we really thank them as well for their vision and energy in collaborating over the barriers of internet connection, culture, language, time as well. But it's been an absolute joy with the health group as well to see how you've developed with the three of you over these past couple of months. What we will do is don't hesitate to add the questions in the chat. I can see lots of comments already and good feedback. You'll be able to reach out to us at the end and we'll be sharing contact details to do so in case you're particularly interested to explore more around the health group and what they want to do with the podcast, for example, or even if you feel that you may have some expertise or ways in which you could support them. We really hope that this Learning Planet community is an inclusive one, is a support-centered one as well. And so do not hesitate to share ideas or insights or advice that you may have. Be fantastic. And we'll be responding and giving the floor to Ahmed and so on to respond to questions before the end as well. I'm going to give the floor now and transition to Sustainability Working Group, represented here today by Karen in India and Binti in Kenya. So I give the floor to you, and we have in our thoughts the other members of the sustainability group as well that have put their energy into this presentation. But thank you, Binti, and Karen, over to you.
Thank you. We're often told that someday we will grow up and as adults we will make a change. But why wait so long to make a change if we have what it takes to do it now? Even though we young people don't know it, we are ready to change the world no matter what they say. We don't have to wait until we are adults to achieve success. Children are the world's future. They are the leaders of tomorrow. That's what people say. But when does tomorrow start? We are not only the future, we are also the present. So start building a better world now.
Welcome to the Sustainability Group, made up of young people from different parts of the world who are passionate about contributing to a sustainable future. In our team of 6 change makers, we have Ruba Rashemoyo, a 16-year-old ambitious researcher working to bring sustainable development in her community. She has done a lot of research in STEM, trying to advance sustainability in her community, and was inspired to start a non-profit organization called Junior Space Explorers, which seeks to improve lives.
Anum Khalid is also a member of the Sustainability Group in the Youth Council from Pakistan. She is a student of architectural engineering and also began her own organization to help the people in her community.
Anushka Sinha is a 19-year-old changemaker, activist, and STEM enthusiast. She has worked with various organizations promoting youth empowerment and education, awareness from a young age.
We also have Guadalupe Alar, who is in Chile at the moment, working in an organization called Design for Change, which helps promote youth empowerment.
Finally, we have Karan Chakravarti from India and me, Binti Zani from Kenya. For every youth out there wanting to make a change, we hope to inspire you to use not only your passion, talents, intelligence, but most importantly, to use your courage to do so. And remember, there's no better time than the present. I can, you can, and together we can.
Sorry about that. Hi everyone, my name is Karan Chakravarti. I live near a beach in Chennai, India, and I'm in the water almost every day, surfing or swimming. So the ocean plays a huge role in my life. But over the years, I've always been saddened to see how polluted the beaches are. There's often trash left over from gatherings on the beach, but I've also seen dead dolphins, turtles, and fish regularly wash up on the shore. In many cases, you can see that plastic was the root cause. In trying to help make a change, I first started cleaning the beaches myself and started to realize how much of an impact even one person could have on the environment. I then discovered a small nonprofit called Nama Beach, Nama Chennai that was also trying to help clean beaches in Chennai, and I was immediately interested in joining them. To help extend their reach, I helped build them a website to help acquire funds and donations. I also spoke at a Rotary Club in San Diego. They support their own beach cleaning operations, so I was able to get some more ideas that we could bring back to Chennai. And they've also committed to provide some funds. I've helped raise awareness at schools in our local communities and get others to join our beach cleanups and understand the importance of a clean ocean. But at the center of all these actions is sustainability, ensuring that we are able to coexist peacefully with the environment and protect our Earth. For me, sustainability means protecting our environment, and for that reason, I have a passion to help clean beaches in my local community. After hearing about the Youth Council, a platform where the young and eager had the opportunity to have their voices heard, I was extremely excited to participate. I knew I wanted to have a lasting impact on the world, and the Youth Council was the perfect place to do that. It seemed like a great opportunity to get my ideas heard, as well as interact with other change makers with similar goals. So for that reason, I felt like the Youth Council would be a great place to join.
We have heard from Karan's version of sustainability, but sustainability is much wider than taking care of the environment. My name is Binti Mohamed Zani. I'm a final year student from the University of Nairobi in Kenya, where I'm pursuing a Bachelor of Science degree in Food Nutrition and Dietetics. I'm also a young person who's very passionate about leadership, youth empowerment, and development. I am a firm believer in the potential that youth have as a vital tool that we could explore towards solving the various problems that we have in our nations and beyond. Only that most of the time, this potential is either underutilized or not utilized at all. So if I could dare to dream, then I'd spend the rest of my life ensuring that we tap into this potential. When we were young, it was almost always a foregone conclusion that we'd get to be anyone we wish to be. But then we keep growing, our eyes keep opening, and we are faced with the harsh reality that this is not always going to be the case. There are a number of reasons that usually contribute, but it doesn't just break your heart when you notice a neighbor's son or daughter, a family member, a friend who has all the qualifications, sometimes up to a master's degree, and yet they are unemployed. Doesn't it break your heart to realize that unemployment could be just the reason that's keeping us one step away from being who we wish to be? And the fact that you're currently enrolled in one of the most prestigious universities in your country is not in itself a guarantee of an employment opportunity. It becomes even sadder when I look at the statistics and see that every year we have around 800,000 young Kenyans joining an already crowded labor market, yet no new jobs are being created, and realize that something has to be done, and soon. There are a lot of alternatives we will definitely look into, but what stands is that I want to contribute to creating these employment opportunities for young people in my country. This passion to be one of the change makers in my country is what led me to the Learning Planets International Youth Council, where I got the opportunity to meet other amazing change makers all over the world, other inspiring youth who want to create impact in their various communities, and especially be part of the sustainability group, where we believe that sustainability is being able to live in harmony with the environment and preserve its beauty, but at the same time, progress economically.
We all have different stories. For Binti, her main concern is more employment opportunities in Kenya. For me, it is ensuring the collection and proper disposal of waste found on beaches in Chennai. For you, it could be about women empowerment, education, health, and many others. We understand that we are all driven by different passions, but it all comes down to wanting to create an impact, an idea that we attempt to address. In our sustainability group of 6 in the Youth Council, each of us had such different ideas and topics that we wanted to focus on. One focused on women empowerment, another on programs to help the youth. How could we choose just one issue to focus on when they're all equally important? It became extremely clear that it would not be possible to just choose one issue to focus on. Therefore, we wanted to find a solution that would both promote sustainability in our local community, but at the same time be able to address a wide range of issues. We want to make sure that we are able to continue our own activities in the community, but at the same time, be worthy ambassadors for the Youth Council and encourage others in our community to be a part of it as well.
Our project, known as Community Building Activities to Promote Sustainability, is a project that focuses on empowering youth to promote sustainability in their local communities. As part of this project, we are aiming at developing a curriculum that trains youth in various communities from different parts of the world on sustainability and how they can take advantage of this curriculum to champion for change in their local communities by pioneering local chapters or clubs that will continue learning about sustainability and how to make use of available local resources to solve local challenges.
Our initiative is extremely important because it allows us to combat a variety of issues at the local level at the same time. By contacting and training the youth to start their own initiatives, such as clubs, programs, and others in their communities, we are creating a more sustainable future and ensuring that other young people are able to contribute to saving the planet. We are extremely excited to be a part of the Youth Council because it provides us with the perfect platform to share our ideas and have a lasting impact on the world. It is only because of the Youth Council that the Sustainability Group, with 6 members from 5 different countries, are able to connect with each other. To ensure that this project is able to continue even after we leave the Youth Council, we're hoping to be able to pass on this project to the next generation of youth councillors, who will continue to inspire the youth to address problems in their local communities.
Summarily, we've all heard of the quote, "Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime." And this is essentially what we are trying to do through our project. There's only so much that we can do as 6 members of the sustainability group trying to solve the thousands of issues in the various communities. But there's so much we can do if we empower thousands of youth to solve the various issues in their own communities. We are calling upon various youth and youth organizations who are passionate about sustainability in an effort to create a lasting impact on our planet. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us for any form of collaboration or coalition. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Karen and Binti. So inspiring thinking about what they're doing and putting into place in local communities. I can see that there is a lot of love on the chat from Maya. Maya's fangirling. You guys are awesome, doing amazing work. Keep rocking. Your stories are inspiring, Karen, Binti, and the team. Looking forward to connecting with all the sustainability group members on collaboration and projects. Fantastic. And then for the health group, I mean, so much, I think people really connected to the vision and the focus around specifically mental health and really supporting and connecting and providing an inclusive space for youth to talk about this online as well. We'll be responding to questions, so don't hesitate, those of you that are listening in, to add any questions that you have in the chat. But firstly, from my side, it would be great just in terms of each of you to share, you're all already working in multiple youth initiatives locally. And maybe for some, you've already been working internationally, or you've done Model UNs or various forms of collaborations. Maybe you can share a bit about what is one thing that you could have learnt, and one thing that you found challenging possibly about building this international collaboration in your groups that span multiple countries. Almaz, it'd be great to start with you.
For me, I think being on the Youth Council has been such a privilege. In South Africa, we're doing a lot of the similar things, creating policy statements and trying to uplift youth in that way. And I think when I entered the Youth Council, I had been doing international collaborations before through Learning Planet. And when I joined the Youth Council, I saw there's such a diversity of people. And I think definitely something that I found challenging is the culture differences, because I had to get used to accents that I hadn't heard before, and sometimes I couldn't understand. And I think it's just those small culture things that I found challenging. But I think at the same time, our diversity of cultures also it taught me a lot of things about how we need to include all these different people from all around the world in our solutions, because when we're tackling health, youth rights, education, climate change, I think we all need to work together, and we need to give everybody a space to be in that solution. So I think being part of the Youth Council has been such a privilege for me, and I hope that going far into the future, I'll be able to do things similar to that. And I've been able to do all these international collaborations through Learning Planet. So really, I'd also like to thank Learning Planet too.
Thank you so much, Almaz, for your commitment to what you've been working on with us as well. Soham, could I give the floor to you? How have you found, firstly, this the challenge possibly of building these cross-cultural, national, discipline collaborations? And yeah, what is maybe something that you've learned so far from this experience?
Okay, so I will say that my first international collaboration was with Learning Planet when I first spoke at the Youth Empowerment Circle, when it was first launched. So that was the beginning. And the challenges, I must say, are mainly the time zone challenges, which are really difficult to cope up with. And another thing is to get to interact with people, and so that they open up, so that they feel free to say what is bothering them. So that is a challenge. But I feel at the Youth Council, I've learned that whatever with the problem, if we have the determination, we can make it possible. But definitely not alone. We need the cooperation of everyone else as well. Yeah.
Thanks so much. And passing on to Karen, over to you.
Yeah, so just over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, Almaz and I were part of a Model United, an MUN conference, essentially hosted by both the Learning Planet and the DAIS. And I would say it was really nice to be able to interact with people from all over the world. There were people from many different places, so that was really, really nice. And I'd have to say that was only possible because of joining the Youth Council and the Learning Planet, because they were able to contact me, and then I was able to participate in that conference. So that was a really, really great experience for me. And I'd also say one challenge that was definitely getting through the different time zones that we have, especially in the Youth Council, where there are so many different people from different countries joining. And also during the conference as well, some people were joining very late in the night. So it was, however, it was just definitely a fun experience for MUN. And also, I would say Almaz would agree with that as well.
Yeah, and as the outcome from the Model UN, I mean, over 100 youth. How many countries in the end were represented through the delegates? It was extraordinary. Something like 80 countries or something like that. It was pretty special. Fantastic. And so we'll be putting in a link, I think, as well, and hopefully sharing with the youth community some of the outcomes from the Model UN session as well. Would love to pass on to Binti, though, to finish off on this question as well. A challenge for you, I think, with this this collaboration across each of these different countries, and something that you've taken away so far from the experience.
I think definitely the challenge will be the time zones, trying to cope with meeting, especially everyone, considering we come from different countries. It's probably morning when it's evening in Karan's time zone, but you just have to make do. And I'd say it's been an inspiring and challenging experience at the same time. Challenging in the sense that, challenging in a good way, in the sense that the Learning Planet gives us a lot of platforms to be able to express our thoughts. And for instance, today morning I was part of the World Tour session, and it was a nerve-wracking experience because I was so nervous looking at all the people there, and I was just so nervous trying to look at all the people. We have the director from UNESCO, we have a mayor from, we have the mayor who was also in attendance, and I'm just there and I'm telling myself, Binti, this is the first time we're doing such a thing, but I don't know, but in the end, it's been a rewarding experience because we're also learning in the process. I'm building my courage, and it's also fun. It's also fun connecting to members from different parts of the world. We learn a lot from each other, and I'd say so far it's just been an inspiring experience. I mean, we have people here who are doing amazing, things outside there, who have amazing initiatives, and it's inspiring for me as an individual, because I look at them and I'm telling myself that this is also a baseline to learn from, and I mean, something to motivate me to do more for my country as well. Thank you
so much, Binti, and I think you are a headline speaker, honestly, for the session this morning. You are absolutely fantastic, and it was a session bringing together, I think, 13 or 14 organizations from around the Learning Planet community globally. But for us, it really was wonderful to make sure that there is that voice, the youth empowerment voice represented by youth as well. So thank you for doing that for us this morning, Binti, as well. Absolutely fantastic. I see there's a question in the chat from Reika, going from your own learnings and maybe challenges from the experience. We could ask, what's your advice for young people who want to make a positive impact? How would they begin? And maybe if you have a think about your specific working group focus in the council, do you have any advice for those that may be wondering how they could get started? And yeah, we'd love some guidance. So if I could pass first to Soham, if you have any thoughts for that.
Okay, so looking at the question from my perspective, like from the health working group of the Youth Council, I must say, like, they must first reach out to everyone, and they must realize that it is not, no one would ignore them, or it won't lead to social exclusion if they come out from their comfort zone and say about their problems or share their feelings, and that is absolutely normal. So, and then only when they are comfortable with their feelings and their problems, they can reach out to other people and deal with their problems in a much more mature manner.
So much, Soham. And could I pass to Almaz? What are your thoughts from your perspective?
I think for me, I started with all this kind of advocacy work when I just started to volunteer, no matter how I thought about how good I was going to do. I think for youth, we're often put down because we feel like we don't know as much as the adults, and I think if we just volunteer like I did, you could just you could go so far. And I think just for youth to read and notice if there's any inequalities in their community and what sort of things they could change, and just noticing those small things and acting on what you think could change your communities for the better. I think just volunteer in whatever opportunities you have, take initiative, and believe in yourself, because I think there's no harm in trying, and I think there's more harm in just leaving it to the adults to fix. So yeah.
Giving me a question in mind for you just afterwards concerning the adults for sure. Before I ask that though, I do pass on the mic to Karen. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely agreeing with what Soham and Ahmad said, and also just the importance of collaboration. I know that like none of this presentation, the MUN conference that we had recently could have been done without the help from like all the different people that were contributing to this kind of like platform, and also the conference as well. So I think just learning the importance of collaboration, and like Ahmad said, just volunteering for work, for example, just in your school, joining some clubs, maybe the MUN club, maybe whatever clubs that you have in your school, and then slowly building up from there, and maybe even one day joining the youth council as well.
And Vinti?
Definitely adding on to what Soham, Almaz, and Karen have just shared. You could start with what you know, meaning you could start with solving the local issues in your communities first. And you have a lot of people outside here who are willing to help youth who are passionate about creating impact in their own communities. So definitely once you start, you definitely get people who are interested in helping you out. For instance, as Karen has mentioned, the Learning Planet Youth Council, but there are also a lot of organizations, especially local organizations, who are looking for people passionate about creating impact. So that's somewhere you could definitely start from. And it's going to be a challenging journey, but as long as you're passionate and you have the drive about creating impact, it's definitely a rewarding journey.
Thank you so much. And possibly just the last question for each of you, if you have one phrase or response, what is maybe one thing that you expect from those professionals or adults in the audience that maybe are working in NGOs or working in institutions or in networks, the Learning Planet team? What is one thing that you expect that could really help you along the way in your journey, really supporting fellow youth as well worldwide? So Binti, I could start with you as you're on the screen for the moment.
I'd say what I'm expecting from the organizations that are in the audience. We're requesting that you listen to us when we speak, and not only listen to us, you help us actualize these initiatives that we have. So essentially what I'd be requesting for is a collaboration in all of the initiatives that we have in the various groups of the working groups in the Youth Council. Please help us out. We cannot do this alone, in as much as we are really passionate about it. We really need your help. So yeah, please do help us out in whatever way you can.
Thank you so much, Binti. And I'll maybe pass to from the health group, Almaz. Do you want to go next?
Yeah, I think a common argument that's given to exclude youth from all these decision-making spaces is that we're not educated, and when we grow older, we'll somehow be educated through our education system, and we'll have more insight into the decisions that we're being left out of. So I think it would be wonderful for any organization sitting here today to take it upon themselves to educate us, offer your insights on how we can better contribute to a more sustainable society in the way that you're doing right now, and to just bridge that intergenerational gap and mentor us and give us some of your ideas, so we do have the tools to contribute when we are given the chance. And I definitely have to agree with Binti. I think meaningful youth inclusion will involve giving us the funds and the resources to make our ideas actionable. And I think a challenge that I also face is that youth don't have civil rights, so we're not allowed to coordinate our own events, and we don't often have money to actually coordinate our events. And when I was trying to coordinate the high schools of South Africa, in creating South African Youth Climate Action Plan, I think we could have done so much more if we were just given the funds to actually hold our initiative ideas. So I think the number one thing we need is support.
Thank you, Ahmed. Karen, over to you.
Yeah, just adding on to what Binti and Ahmad said, just making sure that the organizations are able to, listen to our ideas, really get a sense of like what we're trying to do, and also supporting us with that. As Ahmad said, a lot of the time adults do not think that we are ready to have an impact on the world, or we're not experienced enough. And so we encourage all organizations to start recruiting more youth and training them, teaching them what it is to like have an impact, how to work collaboratively with people, but also listening to their ideas, because a lot of the time youth have some great ideas, but are not heard because they are thought as inexperienced or don't have like what it takes to start their own kind of initiatives. So yeah, just recruiting more youth and listening to their ideas as well.
Thank you so much, Karen. And lastly, Soham.
Okay, so like Binti, Almaz, and Karan have already said the most of it, and I'm just adding on to it that as I've earlier said, that in this world of changing times, something concrete can come up only when we also consider the perspective of the youth, because only a lasting solution will come when the aspirations and imaginations of the youths are put into place. And one more thing, we definitely need more reach. And so like we cannot work out our ideas with only the reach that we have, and we would definitely like to take the help of those with much more reach to extend our ideas on a global level.
Thank you so much, Soham. And it's a really fantastic and important segue, actually, and it's an inspiring call to action that for us, what we have started to be doing with the council, but prior to this with the Youth Empowerment Circle, is really map out organizations globally that are part of the Learning Planet initiative that maybe have a core speciality in one of the topics that we've been discussing about today, and really trying to see where are the right moments and possible places to seed collaboration, really meaningful collaboration and connection between the young people that make up the initiative and these organizations as well. And so one outcome that we had actually following the launch of the council is that we have also launched a campaign or a global call for Learning Planet Youth Fellows to join the community. Now, Youth Fellows for us are the individual members of the community that maybe are already part of an organization, or maybe not even yet, but want to start as an individual with some training, connecting to fellow youth, showcasing their projects, their ideas as well. And so we have been delighted to welcome 60 youth fellows over the past 2 months so far. We started off with a training around showcasing their projects on the Learning Planet Projects platform, which is a free space to discover and showcase and connect projects happening elsewhere in the world, really for social impact. But what we are really working on and thinking about at the moment is how we can, over the next year, host spaces where other youth organizations in the network can come in and share some of their real insights. And requests we've had for the moment are around, for example, gender, intercultural communication, scaling youth impact and youth initiatives. We've had a request even for design thinking for different forms of project development. And we will be sharing this with the youth community following the festival as a bit of a call, as over the next year, we want to, as much as possible, provide as many spaces in collaboration with other organizations for the youth fellows, for the council, who are really leading the development of this initiative as well, so that we can really try to foster this intergenerational, interdisciplinary collaboration that we need to support each other to tackle the major challenges of our time. So we'll be sharing more information about that over the course of the week as well. As a final just call to action, you'll see that Paula from the team has added in the chat the next session that we were having in 10 minutes, which is the launch of the second half of the Day of Education. So we've got a really fantastic session where we'll actually be having one of our members of the Youth Council on the panel, Katie, looking at new narratives for the 21st century education. And then also we've put in the chat as well the link towards the session on Saturday with another of our council, Raven, on inspiring solutions for youth mental health, mental resilience. So if you go onto the program on the 29th of January, you'll be able to find out more information about this at 2:30. And so last but not least, I just say a huge thank you to Karen, to Binti, to Soham, to Almaz, to the Youth Council that supported you in developing these presentations together, and also to the council who shared their vision and conversations on last Saturday. And we're wishing you a really fantastic rest of the festival. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining, and do hope to see you soon.